The Entrepreneurial Journey podcast. We're talking business and building a culture that's kick-ass. Where we make it happen, grab your seat, let's have a blast. At the Entrepreneurial Journey podcast.
If you love the entrepreneurial journey, how about subscribing and giving us a 5-star review? Wherever you get your podcasts, follow or subscribe and give us a positive review so more entrepreneurs out there don't need to feel alone. Thanks. Hello and welcome to the entrepreneurial, I can't speak this morning, entrepreneurial journey. That was a good start. I've had coffee and everything. Today I've got Toby Burns with me, although on his screen he's got his Sunday best name, Tobias Burns, which he tells me he only gets called when he's naughty. And you're the CEO and founder of the Silent Disco Company. Hello, Toby. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Pleasure to be on.
Yeah, absolute pleasure. Right. Okay. When your PR agent got in touch with me and said, do you want to interview Toby of the Silent Disco Company for your podcast? I went, yes, please. Because I live in Edinburgh, Toby, and every August there are a bunch of people wandering through the streets of Edinburgh with headphones on going like this.
For the Fringe, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny, my in-laws go every year.
Right.
And they always send me pictures and videos. So we have a couple that hire up, and I've never been. I need to go.
You need to go.
Because they say it is fantastic
Brilliant.
every year. So I'm glad you've seen the crazy people wandering the streets in Edinburgh with headphones.
They look
actually
lovely.
In Edinburgh, we do so many hires, even though we're based down in just outside London.
Right.
The Scottish crowd love a silent disco, and we send loads up there, and it's quite problematic for us because it's a long way. It's normally like a 2-day delivery service, so we have to send it out a bit further in advance, but we do a lot of business in Scotland. So you love a party.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, I'm not Scottish, as you can tell by my accent, but I've lived here for 30 years and they do love a party. Yeah, they're good at that, definitely. Right. I've looked at your LinkedIn profile. You seem to have been involved in events forever. How did it all begin? Take us back to the origin story.
So I was a children's entertainer. I hate using the word clown, but that's how people say it. So kids' parties, magic, balloons, disco. I went under the name DJ TJ for many, many years. And I in the end, I was doing about 10 kids' parties a week. So it was a great job, a profitable job. But I've said this before in different podcasts, that you're swapping time for money.
Yeah.
And then I transitioned. It was very unsociable. I say with our industry, it's the most sociable, unsociable job there is, because you're around people all the time, socializing, but you're working.
Yeah.
So I then transitioned into DJing. That was a hobby, but then it became a lot more serious. And I went into a very specific market where they spent a lot of money on events. So Jewish, Arab, corporate market is where I ended up. So I didn't do the conventional like 18th or 40th. It was very specific to the jobs I was doing. Stopped children's entertaining. I was DJing, producing the events. Google, for example, I still DJ for Google 10 years later with some of their corporate events. And then it was literally a wake up event of, I used to play football and I broke my arm one Thursday playing football, and I had gigs that weekend. And I said to the doctor, I said, you can put me in a cast, but you need to wait till Monday. I went, put me in a splint. I need to DJ on Sunday. But I was like, on Monday morning, I promise you I'll come back and you can put me in a cast. And that's exactly what I did. But, you quickly realize that you are the business.
Yeah.
People want you. And again, it was still that sociable, unsociable job that I mentioned before. So I really wanted there was always an entrepreneurial spirit inside of me. I'd surrounded myself with a lot of entrepreneurs and
Mm,
amazing business owners. And I think that's important for anyone that wants to be an entrepreneur. Surround yourself with other entrepreneurs.
definitely.
And we started Silent Disco officially 2014.
Right.
And within 2-3 months, literally the DJ work, I was like, right, I can pick and choose what I want to do,
Great.
because this is going to take off. And it really did. I put a lot of hours. I still put a lot of hours into it, because I still feel there's building to be done.
Mm,
And another entrepreneur that I've surrounded myself with for many years always says, build a business to sell,
hmm.
even if you have no intention of selling it, because it's that
Yeah,
discipline. And he is
definitely.
so right with that. So
Yeah,
it's not where I want it to be to sell it, but we're on that way. And I
perfect.
always say, like, or again, another entrepreneur said, like, people underestimate what they can do um in it in 10 years.
Mm,
And I think that a 10-year plan, you can really achieve so much. And I
yeah.
want to get it to, where I would be happy to sell it.
Mm,
I'm sure once I get there, there'll be another 5-10 year plan to keep growing. But
yeah.
we started Silent Disco. We're now a team of 18 people.
Wow.
So it's not out of a garage or a side hustle, as many of our competitors are now.
Mm,
It is, we're a big organization. We've got an office here and in Dubai. Um, but the UK is our bread and butter.
right.
And then subsequently other brands have been established since. So we've got the cinema hire company, the screen hire company, the karaoke hire company, and they all do what they say on the tin, and that's really
Brilliant.
important for us, to continue that brand. And that's really it in a nutshell. There's other pockets of businesses I'm involved in, and property to secure this business as well.
Yeah.
Um, and that's all been learning from other entrepreneurs, business owners, and all successful business owners have a great property portfolio around them.
Yeah, they do.
So from a young age, like, literally, we bought the business, we bought the property we operate out of,
Right.
and that's, I think, really important. So the property that we operate out of, we own, and then we've basically rinsed and repeated that over the years, that when we need more space, we'll buy the next property that we operate out of, and then we've rented out the first one, and so on
Perfect.
and so on. So now we've got a moat around our business, that should anything happen, even the fact of, I hate the dreaded word, COVID, we have
Hmm.
great security around us that would, you know, get us out of trouble
Yeah.
if that ever happened again,
All right. So in about 10 minutes there, Toby, you've described how to start, run, and build a really successful business. So thanks for that. And anybody listening needs to take notes, because each sentence had its own nugget, starting with don't exchange time for money. If your business model is exchanging time for money, it's broken. And people are going to go, well, what about the big law firms? They only survive because there's millions of them doing time for money, and they're like little factories. Um, but if you're starting out, if you get stuck in exchanging time for money, it's really hard to get out of that. So that's the first top tip. And the second one that I really like that you talked about there is building a moat of security around the business. Now some people out there are going to go, look, I haven't got the funds to buy an office, a building, or whatever. What's your advice to them if they haven't got the funds to do that?
So I think there's really creative ways of doing it, and over the
Okay.
years we've become more creative of doing it, such as, if there is a building that you like, you can speak to the seller. You can try and do vendor finance, where you put a lower price down as well,
Okay.
and then pay the owner back over a period of years. So that's
Right.
vendor finance. That's a really good way of doing it. I
Right.
think when you're operating out of that property, the deposit for that is only 30%. So if you were buying an investment property like a commercial unit just to rent out to another business, it's 50%.
Okay.
But if you're operating out of it, it's 30% deposit. So
Right.
you can get a small, and we started like this. It was a 1,500 square foot little light industrial commercial unit. And I remember when we bought that at the time, it was 170,000.
Right.
So we'd saved up for like 3 years, 4 years maybe, got that 30% deposit together, and then we bought it. But now, like right now, we're in 6,000 square foot. So we've grown and grown and grown, and we've been here nearly 2 years, and we need more space. It's a
Wow.
constant revolving issue that we need more space again. But this move, I really want to be the last, because
Okay.
in this particular building we're in, and we're in our studio space at the moment, we spent north of 100,000 on the refurb because it was
Right.
in a bit of a state. So I said, if we're going to do it again, I want it to be the last. That if we're in 5,000, I want to get a 10,000 square foot warehouse that I know we won't have to move again because we've probably got too much space, but that's okay. And right now, I know that we'll need 30% to buy that property. And right now, I could probably refinance our different properties, but I don't like to do that. I like to keep them where they are, and I could do that in all honesty, and I
It's a bit
probably
of a house of cards, though,
I
Toby. I
should
always
do that,
think.
but
Right.
I need to prolong being here a little bit because we've only been here a couple of years, and we're outgrowing it. So I know by the end of next year we'll have the 30%. However, I'm going to see properties now,
Yeah.
even though I know we can't quite afford them now, because there might be 800 £1 million commercial units. And I think that's a key nugget as well, is even if you can't afford it, go and see them. Because once you see them and you go, this is perfect, you find a way.
You do,
You
always.
find a way to make it happen, whether that's being creative. As I said, there's vendor finance, there's other things you can do to get that, even if it was a personal loan, just to get the deposit.
Yeah.
You get the property, you revalue the property if you've made some improvements, and then you pay that personal loan back. You got to be creative with things. And as I said, even now, we went to see one a couple of weeks ago. We documented it on our YouTube channel, and really it wasn't right for us. It needed too much work, the layout. But I'm still going to go see it, because if that was right, I would have found a way to make it happen.
You do. Yeah.
And I also, elaborating on your, like, I know we're going back a little bit on your
That's
previous
okay.
point of that golden nugget of like swapping time for money, and you used a lawyer as an example. And I think the key is, and it was only because it was on my mind, so sorry, that's the
That's all right.
entrepreneurial ADHD going back and forth.
Yeah, we've all got it.
But like lawyers, for example, they have a great business model.
Yeah.
And you're not, business models that start from scratch each month are really hard. So being a DJ, people should only get married once. They may get married twice, but they're probably not going to have you twice. You need a business model where people will transact with you multiple times.
Yeah.
So that's why the corporate market, Google as an example, they have 4 parties a year. So they're using us 4 times a year. Lawyers, for example, you might use them to do or we'll use the commercial property. I've used the same solicitor to buy all our commercial properties, the same solicitor. So over a 10-12 year period, they've probably had 15,000-20,000 pounds from us, because once you trust them, they're good at what they do, you will transact with them multiple times. And law firms are a great example of that. Insurance companies, the hassle to change insurance company, everyone goes through it with car insurance.
Oh God.
We use a broker, but so if we have to change and we get a better price, we'll change. But in the early days, all right, I'll stick with Admiral year after year after year, because all right, you call them, I've got a better price, but you stay with them. So you transact with them. Supermarkets, if you're a Tesco or Sainsbury's or Waitrose shopper, you tend to shop at the same brand time and time again. And I think that is a real key for any business, is the business model has to be right, that you have returning customers. And with Silent Disco, we've got a really good returning rate, but it's not as good as a law firm or a supermarket. That's why supermarkets, do so well, because they're I may visit the same supermarket twice in a week sometimes. People don't have a Silent Disco twice in a week, but they may have one birthday, then they'll have an outdoor cinema for their friends, then it's the Euros and they'll have another cinema, or they'll have karaoke. So we've got other business where they're trading with us multiple times. It may be over a longer period, but they're transacting with us. And that's why our team also work on like contracts with bigger clients, where we're doing a 12-month hire rolling contract. Celebrity cruises are probably the best example.
Oh, wow.
I'm sure any of your listeners, if they've been on a cruise and had a Silent Disco, if they're on Celebrity, they're our headphones. They subsequently bought them, but at the early start, they were hiring them. So don't start from zero each month. Because you are swapping time for money, and you got to have the right business model.
You really
and
do.
That's really difficult to do. And I'm always thinking of new businesses, of what can we do that has a great model where people are transacting with you multiple times. So I know I flicked back to that point, but I think it's really important point.
It is really important. And what led you to think of the Silent Disco in the first place?
I was in America at the time, and there was a gentleman who invented Silent Disco in America. I call myself the inventor in the UK, but that's probably more ego. But
PR. It's good PR.
in the US, and I went to a festival in the US with my two brothers, and I was standing there on the barrier at the front. Had a few drinks, and I thought, this is bonkers. And I knew I could do it better. They were really like cheapy plastic headphones, but they were new. And I thought, we could do this better. We can use better technology. I knew that our clients in the UK, Jewish, Arab, corporate, if we created a really amazing headphone, we would do really, really well with it. So then we worked with a company in China. My parents thought I was genuinely bonkers at this point, that I said I'm about to buy like 200-300 headphones. Like, even now people can't quite grasp the concept. But we worked with a factory. We developed this headphone, and this headphone, frustratingly, we couldn't patent it. So this headphone is now widely used. But the secret behind it is we were the one that developed that, the internals of it, because I came from a sound engineering background as well at college and that sort of thing. And these are now widely used in the industry, this particular headphone. And since then, in the last few years, we've developed a newer one, which just, again, you've got to innovate.
You do. You got to
otherwise
keep going.
Someone else will. So we're constantly innovating. I'm telling our team all the time, innovate. The entrepreneur I referenced earlier a couple of times, who I'm a big fan of, James Sinclair, he always says, if you don't innovate, you evaporate. So I tell my team, I try and go to as many trade shows to find new technology. We're due to go to China next year. There's an expo in Las Vegas, and America generally are a year in front of the rest of the world, in my opinion, in crazy ideas, because I think Americans are a little bit crazy in a good way.
In a really good way.
Sometimes in a bad way, right, in this world. But they're generally a year ahead in terms of like crazy ideas before they come to the UK. So I try and get to these shows. And I think any entrepreneur as well who wants to innovate, go to as many trade shows, not in the UK. You've got to get out the UK, because if they're in the UK, they already exist, in my opinion.
Yeah. How are you finding Dubai and expanding into Dubai?
Dubai is like, we're a year. It was
Mm-hmm.
nearly a year. We launched there 17th of October 2023. So we're not
Right.
quite a year. And it's a very different market to the UK. And I've learned this. It's a learning
Mm.
curve because it was
Mm.
a new concept in Dubai. But I had a lot of friends, my partner, who has a cinema company similar to us in the UK, but in the UAE.
Right.
And it's quite odd because the season, like here, we party all year round.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what the weather. I mean, it's normally raining here, but we party all year round. In Dubai, it's very seasonal, which I
Oh,
don't like as much, but it
okay.
offsets the UK. The UK is, we're busy all year round, but we're really busy April to October,
Yeah.
the summer months.
Yeah.
In Dubai, the season is October to April
Okay, because of the weather.
because of
It's
the
cooler. Yeah.
it's like I have a friend there at the moment who works in the industry. I was talking to him last night, and he said it's 42 degrees today. So it's crazy hot. People are not
Mm.
partying. So the seasoning is October to April. The other difference, which is just interesting, is in the UK, people plan ahead. People
Right.
might plan their party 2, 3 months in advance, 6 months in advance. We have bookings well into 2025, 26. In Dubai, it's a week's notice.
Really?
It's so last minute. Even the
Oh,
corporate, I'm just shocked by, like, you would think it's a it is a super organized
yeah.
country, but they seem so unorganized at the same
That's
time.
that is really surprising. Yeah.
It's really last minute, which, like, shocks me. My partner will go, "We got a job in 2 days' time," and I'm like,
Right.
"Where did that come from?"
Heck, yeah.
Um, and the other thing, they do everything by WhatsApp.
Okay.
So here we do emails, or people will book online and they want to speak to you on the phone and talk about it. In Dubai, it's all on WhatsApp. They want to quote
Right.
on WhatsApp, talk on, and it's just a different. I remember a lot of the people we're dealing with are expats or internationals, but
Yeah.
that's the culture of, we do a little bit on email, but
Okay.
a lot of the inquiries are through WhatsApp, which
Oh.
we do some here, but not to the degree. So we're still learning, and with any of this, you've got to learn, you've got to adapt,
Hmm.
and you've got to innovate at the same time. And it's going well. This September, towards the end of the month, we have quite a few bookings, and it's ticking along. I said it would always
Okay.
take 18 months to 2 years to build to a
Hmm.
level that we want it to. It's obviously a higher budget in Dubai.
Hmm.
So, like, for example, here we might be £2 a headphone. In Dubai, we might be 10, £12 a headphone, just because
Yeah.
things cost more.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be the level, and I was very realistic when we brought it to Dubai, of the UK. I mean, here in the summer, we'll do over 200 hires a week. We're
Hmm.
not going to do that in Dubai. We might do one or two, but that's okay.
Yeah.
And I'm comfortable at that, because they're a higher value, and it's a different industry to the Brits.
Yeah. Yeah. It's easier to do business out there now. You don't need a Saudi national to set up a business over there, do you? Or UAE national rather, to set up a business over there.
As far as I'm aware, you still do. So
Oh, right.
to get your trade, you need to get a trade license.
Okay.
So the trade license, and I've learned all this, but I
Right.
was very lucky that I went with a partner who was already operating in Dubai.
Okay.
So he had a trade license already. Now, to set
All
that up,
right.
it's about £15,000.
Yeah, it's not cheap.
And then every year, it's 5 grand to renew your trade
Right.
license, but
Okay.
you don't pay any tax.
No, that's it.
It's just £5,000 a year, roughly.
Yeah.
You get your trade license, and then it's 5% VAT. But again, that's very, very minimal. But I know he has to go over once a year or once every couple of years. He's got to be there for a certain amount of days just to renew that trade license.
Hmm.
Maybe it's changed, but
Yeah.
because I was like, should we set up a new company? But
Hmm.
to be honest, we can test the market under
Yeah.
the company we already have out there.
Yeah, definitely.
And after a couple of years, if we go, okay, let's make it its own entity out there, then we can do that, but it's going to cost £15,000-20,000 to do that. And I don't see I'm like, I'd rather invest that into new equipment.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
no difference. Like here you have the karaoke hire company trading under the silent disco company group. Like it's the same thing in Dubai.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make financial sense to split that out. But as far as I'm aware, there are other ways of doing it. I think it depends what you're setting up.
Yeah. I know I was approached the other week by somebody who said, look, we can set you up in Dubai, $25,000. It's a
Yeah.
3-year license. You pay 9% tax. That's it. I went, that sounds exciting.
So
Like you,
that's what I've just
yeah,
basically, it's the
yeah,
setup charge of
yeah,
$15,000
yeah.
or 15, and then maybe when you first start a business you get 3 years as the trade license and then you have to renew it.
Yeah, she said, yeah, it's a bit
Um,
more for 5 years. Yeah, 3 and then 5. Yeah.
what would you set up in Dubai? Now I'm
Well,
intrigued.
so we train coaches all over the world. We've got a great kick-ass culture methodology and we train them. And we advertise in Dubai because we know it's a really growing market. We advertise in the UK and the US and Dubai. Um, and today we've not had much traction in Dubai, but it's growing. We get a huge amount of interest, but not a lot of purchasing. So a lot of people kind of are circling round, having a look, seeing if we are who we say we are, which is fine. I completely get that. We got our first coach last month in Dubai, actually. But interestingly, she'd gone from the UK to Dubai. So I think she felt a bit more secure buying from us. And I just sent a test out yesterday of an offer, not the full program, in UAE dirham to see
Yeah, yeah.
whether buying in their currency made a difference. I'll let you know whether it does.
I think that does help. I think
Okay,
having a presence there also helps. I mean, even the fact
right.
of like us having a physical address, us having a
Mm,
physical Dubai phone number, and
right.
that was, oh my God, you can't get a like a pay as you go sim unless you're a resident.
Oh, right. Okay.
So like when I was out there, it was a nightmare. I was like, all I want is a pay as you go SIM card with or I'll pay monthly with a Dubai number.
Yeah.
But unless you're a resident and you show you can't get it.
Oh, right.
So where my partner was a resident, we had to put it in his name. It's a
Mm,
big,
that's a
you know,
ball ache. Yeah.
but it's a really, I would definitely get on WhatsApp and try and get a
Mm,
Dubai. Like if your colleague out there, she gets a mobile, I think that makes a huge difference.
right. Okay.
But it's a really like it is an interesting market. A lot of people are moving there, and I get the
Mm.
appeal.
Hmm.
Like we go back to this country as an entrepreneur, and what's about to come, I think,
Oh, don't.
is it makes you think, what's the point?
Yeah, don't. It's so depressing. It's really, really depressing what is about to come. And I don't really want to think about it, Toby, because I would cry.
It's
So
really like, and I use China. I've visited China a few times, and
mm,
even though people don't like China or they're a dictatorship, that sort of
mm,
thing, they do get some fundamentals right. And that
hmm,
is the government supports all the businesses.
yeah.
And that's why they have, the biggest economy in the world. That if they export anything they export, they get 1% cash back from the government.
No, I
Um,
didn't know that.
so if they export, they get a
Yeah,
1% cash back of what they've exported from the government, whether that's
right.
an offset of their tax bill, but they get it
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
Imagine if we did that here, how
Oh,
powerful that would be. And the other
huge.
thing they do, um, and I can't remember the exact facts, is if they do a trade show,
Mm,
whatever they sell or export from that trade show, it's a big percentage. It's like 10-15% cashback.
wow.
So if they do a trade, so they're encouraging factories to
Yeah.
go to trade shows, and that's why you see so many now in the UK, Chinese
Okay.
companies coming over because they get a cashback from their government.
Wow.
So, I mean, look, we'll see what happens, but it
Mm,
is, I've explained to my team, it's really, we're offloading a couple of residential properties at the moment because of the
okay.
capital gains tax,
Yeah,
I think is coming. So
yeah.
I've
It
been
is.
dealing with that this week. I was like, I just want them gone and offloaded.
Yeah,
That for us is horrific because we've got
yeah.
no sales. because we're a rental company, we don't really have any sales we can reclaim VAT on. So, we could be over 200 grand in VAT a year. Like big numbers that like
Yeah.
most people are like, I get that VAT bill from our in-house bookkeeper and I'm like, oh,
Oh,
you've just
Jesus.
ruined my day.
Yeah.
And some people say, oh, you've got to be earning it to pay it. But yeah, but cash flow is
Yeah.
the hardest
Yeah.
thing for any business is cash
Yeah.
flow. And
It
when
really is.
you've gone through a really good period, you've got some money to now invest into new products, and then you get hit with an £80,000
Yeah.
VAT, you're like, wow, this is
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah, it
And
is.
that was one of the reasons we started in Dubai, that I wanted just that additional revenue stream that
Mm.
wasn't heavily taxed. But I'm also a really big believer in supporting small businesses in the
Yeah.
UK.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Reluctantly, I really want to see small businesses do well. We are a small business. I don't class ourselves as a big business. We're not over 10 million revenue.
Yeah.
We're an SME,
Yeah.
but they're not making it easy.
No.
Bloody hell. They're, and I just think we employ people and they're, one of
The,
my,
yeah,
it's,
SMEs employ 99% of people in the UK. So quite why they're going after SMEs, I do not know. And changing the employment legislation to make it really difficult to get rid of people who aren't working out for SMEs is a complete nightmare. It's just going to lead to more instability in the employment market because you'll just offer temporary jobs or contracts. You
yeah.
won't offer permanent jobs.
Well, I can't remember the exact figures, but like, someone said to me, like, most of the businesses in the UK are not above the VAT threshold
No, they're
of
tiny.
97.5 because they don't want to be above that
Yeah,
threshold. And I think there's like 7,500 companies in the UK that actually like employ more than 10 people or something. It's
yeah,
so small.
it's tiny.
I like literally they may listen, but I had a member of staff come to me and they go, I asked them a question on their lunch break. I was just like, oh, just in passing, I went into the kitchen and I asked them a question. And they went, you're not going to be able to ask me a question in my lunch break soon. And if you do, I can start my lunch break again.
Yes.
And I was like,
What?
what is going on? Like,
Yeah,
this is insanity.
it is
Um,
insanity.
so they're not making it easy.
No, so
Um,
you're not allowed to chat with your colleague.
your
Oh,
superior in a lunch break, that has to be completely and I was like, it was just like a passing question, like not even work related.
yeah,
And it
exactly.
was, oh, you're not going to be able to. And I just think, why?
I
Like,
know. It's a stupid divide. It's a stupid them and us. It's just ridiculous. Anyway, let's talk about the future, Toby. We've got 4 years of this, and we,
look, I'm hoping it gets better. Let's be
uh,
positive.
yeah,
We
let's be
we are going to
positive.
ride the storm,
Yeah, we
and
are.
I always say to my team, and I think this is really positive: be your own economy.
Yeah,
Like even with
absolutely.
recession, I was like, okay, there's a recession going on. We're
Yeah.
not we're not going to be part of it.
No, yeah. When people go, oh, sales are down because of the month, I'm like, rubbish. It's nothing to do with the month. It's something we've not done right. Let's sort
Yeah,
it
yeah,
out.
yeah. Be your own
Never,
economy.
yeah, never blame the external factors ever. It's a complete waste of time. Right, where are you taking the business? What's happening? Apart from Dubai, what's your big vision?
We are looking to, again, grow this over another 5-10 year period. We
Great,
want to build more commercial properties around us. I think that's
great.
always the goal because that ultimately gives you long-term wealth as an
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneur. And I really want to build opportunities for the team,
Good.
whether that's the different businesses and sub brands that we're creating. I want to give our team more opportunities from within because that's a question
Mm,
that gets asked to us. What progression is there? And
right.
early on, it's like, there isn't really progression unless you're
Yeah,
taking my job past the manager role because we're
yeah,
18 people, we're not
yeah,
200 people.
yeah,
I want to give my team more opportunities. We want to acquire a couple of businesses that we're in conversation with as well. I won't say too much, but
no,
all in our event space. And I think that is the best way of growing a business is to
yeah,
buy other businesses in your sector to bolt on. If we're at £1 million business and we can acquire another business that has a turnover of £1 million. We've now turned our company into a £2.5 million turnover business. So I'm looking for opportunities all the time to buy and bolt on businesses. And that's where we are with it now. We've also just created a new company with our cinema hire that's transitioned into more screen hire on a corporate level. So we do the big outdoor screens on the back of trailers for sporting events, and we've just invested about £200,000 into new screens for the coming year. I think off the success of the Euros, and we've got World Cup in a couple of years, and people are really, loving sporting events more than I ever remembered. It's becoming much more of a party, especially with England's semi-success over the past few years, and the excitement. But it's excitement, and
it is the excitement. Yeah, it is.
So we did really, really well off the back of the Euros, and we've used that to invest quite heavily into new screens and different and real high tech stuff for next year. So we're going in the right direction. We're growing the team, growing the business. We want to buy more businesses and just keep innovating. Finding new things I love finding new products that we can tweak and bring to market. That's what gets me out of bed in the morning, and as well as the team, working with them to really create something
good
is really exciting for us.
If your business had a personality or a character, either who would it be, Toby, or how would you describe it?
Such a good question. Who would it be in terms of my colleague in the room just said Dash from The Incredibles, that just keeps running in all directions. We'll use that because that's
cool.
You could have given me that to at least think about before.
No, I don't like to prepare people for that one. It has to be in the moment.
Yeah. Or Maverick from Top Gun, I would say.
All right. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
A combination of the two.
Ruthless, just I think Dash is more appropriate.
Yeah, Dash is more fun, definitely. Yeah. I'm just there's a couple more things I want to ask you about. One's I'm going to ask you about the culture of your business. When you buy other businesses, one of the things that I notice businesses don't pay attention to is the culture that they're buying. And I guess it's a please make sure you pay attention to the culture of the business that you're buying, because I see them fail so many times because they've got the wrong cultural mix. The numbers look great, the business model looks great, but if you've not got the cultural mix, it just doesn't work.
I would take the team over the numbers, because I think you can improve numbers with a little bit of effort, energy, and enthusiasm. You can increase the numbers. The team, for me, are the most important, and culture is bloody difficult. It really is. It's a challenge for any business owner, especially once you go above 12 staff. You have these cliques and, it's you versus us sort of thing. And it's not. And culture, we're going through this at the moment internally, like one person, you have a toxic superstar in the business. Even though they're a superstar, they might do really well, good at their job, make you loads of money. If they're toxic, that creates a toxic team around you, and people it brings everyone down. So I think every business will go through this multiple times.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe multiple times a year. Like we've had, and it's just the way it goes. But when we're looking at businesses, we look for a turnover of a certain amount. Obviously, people look at net profits, and it's all subjective because if the director's taken it out, but it cannot be key man driven. No, there has to be. Because if I buy that business and it's key man driven, I'm buying a job. I'm not buying a business with a team. So I take the team over the numbers any day of the week. Brilliant. And there are situations where I haven't, like if it's a good database and I can use that database, then I've sometimes bought a business based on the database.
Okay, interesting.
rather than the team,
Yeah.
because I know our team can work with them. But culture and team is a challenge. I think it will continue to challenge me every year. Just when you think you've got your team and culture perfect, the next week something will happen, and
Totally.
you got to challenge that again.
Yeah, you do.
And that's my biggest, honestly, one of my biggest stresses is,
Yeah.
and for our managers, is staff and team. And I
Yeah.
mentioned that comment before that I got. I think that just puts it, puts it on the map of what business owners have to deal with. And that's why
Yeah.
business owners don't want to employ people.
It's
But
so true.
if you're going to buy a business, team culture, I can't agree more. It's more important than the numbers. If you have
It
the right
is.
attitude, the right team, big things can happen.
Brilliant. What do you think your purpose is, Toby? This is my last question, I promise. Your dharma, the Hindus call it. What were you put on this earth to do?
It's a great question, and I ask myself this quite a lot. And before it was to, you know, be wealthy or have everything you want, and money really doesn't make you happy. I think I was put on this earth to be creative,
Mm-hmm.
have fun, and our vision at our business is creating memories through celebrations.
Mm.
And if I can create memories through celebrations, and even when I went on a cruise, it was not celebrity, and there was a silent disco, and my daughter at nearly 3 years old had the headphones, and she goes, "Daddy's headphones," and I'm looking around and watching people in their own world. Even though I see that week in, week out, it still puts a
Yeah,
smile on my face.
good.
As the years go on, and being a dad now, and husband, the purpose, I would say, has changed. One, it is to be successful,
Mm.
but to be healthy,
Mm.
happy, and be a good dad and a good husband. I
Yeah,
think that also gives me more pleasure than just having a good pay packet at the end of the month.
yeah,
It's equally as important. Money gives you opportunities,
yeah, it does.
but family, happiness, and health. I've gone through a fair share of bad health. You realize how important that is, especially different family members. And
Mm.
life's short.
Yeah,
Life is short. So you've got to enjoy it and live, laugh, love, and create memories through celebrations. That would be my motto moving forward.
amazing. Thank you so much, Toby. Thanks so much for your time, and best of luck for the future.
Thank you. Great to speak to you.
The Entrepreneurial Journey podcast. We're talking business and building a culture that's kick-ass. Where we make it happen. Grab your seat, let's have a blast. At the Entrepreneurial Journey.